The Kevin Durant trade saga continues. According to some sources, Kevin Durant sees the Philadelphia 76ers as a desired landing spot if he is traded from the Brooklyn Nets. At first he wanted to go to the Pheonix Suns and team up with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, then the Miami Heat to pair up with Jimmy Butler, now the 76ers to reunite with James Harden and join Joel Embiid. Well, let's talk about it. Before we talk about the trade, the fit, and the potential, I want to talk about Kevin Durant and James Harden's relationship. Amid these Kevin Durant rumors, it seems he and Harden are quote-unquote back on good terms. We all know KD and Harden played together from 2009 to 2012 on the OKC Thunder, which ended in Harden being traded to the Houston Rockets. The two superstars reunited in 2021 on the Brooklyn Nets and played together for roughly 8 months before Harden was traded yet again to the Philadelphia 76ers. To the outside eye, it looked as though James Harden and Kevin Durant had some tension during this period when Harden left the Nets to go to Philadelphia, but now it looks like the two are just completely okay. According to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, Durant and Harden were recently backstage together at a Travis Scott concert in London, signaling that any potential issues have been patched up. So if KD and Harden aren't beefing, it makes a little more sense as to why Kevin Durant would add the 76ers to his short list of teams he wants to be traded to. But now that we've talked about the reasoning and the history, we need to discuss the trade itself. Obviously, it isn't easy to trade for Kevin Durant, that's the reason he hasn't been traded yet, but the 76ers have some solid assets they could give up. They have Tobias Harris, who's making $37.6 million over the next 2 years. It's an awful contract that the Nets would have to be willing to take, but it's also the only contract that could even make this work. Secondly, they have Matisse Thybulle. Thybulle is a great defender, but at the end of the day, that's pretty much all he is. He's making $4.3 million on an expiring contract, which is another loss for the Brooklyn Nets. But here's where the win comes in: Tyrese Maxey. Maxey is one of the best young players in the game today and would surely be the main focal point of this trade. He's pretty much the only plus thing the Nets would receive in a trade for Kevin Durant. Now, obviously, this isn't enough to get Kevin Durant because, well, he's Kevin Durant.
I'm Kevin Durant.
But I think those would be the three main pieces that would be used in a trade like this, and honestly, for the sake of the video, we're just going to keep rolling with those three pieces. Now is where we talk about the fit and the potential. Trading Toby, Matisse, and Tyrese for Durant doesn't leave the 76ers with a lot of depth. But in my opinion, they still have a solid starting five on paper, that is. This starting five would include James Harden, DeAnthony Melton, who they acquired in a trade with the Grizzlies for Danny Green, Kevin Durant, PJ Tucker, who they signed this offseason, and rounding out the five would be Joel Embiid. Obviously, on paper, that starting five sounds amazing. You have two former MVPs and someone who is more than capable of winning one. That is a super team, plain and simple. But we all know that doesn't always work out. But I feel like this one could potentially work out. If these three can stay healthy, which is a large if at this point in their careers, they would be clear championship favorites. We all know what Kevin Durant can do. I do not care how bad he played against the Boston Celtics. People forget the season prior he took the eventual champions to 7 games with no Kyrie and an injured Harden and dropped 48, 9, and 6. If this dude has a healthy Harden now and MVP level Joel Embiid, just imagine what they're gonna do to the league. And I know there are concerns with Harden because he's an infamous playoff choker, but the role he would be on this team, no one would be asking him to do too much. No one would be asking him to average 40 a night on 67 free throws a game, chucking up step back threes. He would be a facilitator, something that Harden prefers and is less deteriorating to his body. This is a hypothetical, I hope y'all are keeping that in mind, but if this did happen and everything went right, like I mean no injuries, no drama, no beef, no bad blood, this team would 100% win a championship, and I'd bet my entire house on it.
That's probably not a great idea to bet on.
Shut up, it's Kevin Durant. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and let me know for real, how would y'all feel if Kevin Durant somehow forced his way to the Philadelphia 76ers? Me personally, I'd hate it with every fiber of my being, but I know there are a few Sixers fans that watch my videos, so let me know down in the comments. If you want more basketball content from me, check out my TikTok. We just hit 3,000 followers. Check out some of my previous videos, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.